Upright is the story of Lucky and Meg, two unlikely misfits who are thrown together on a quest to move an upright piano from one end of Australia to the other, during which the pair of them end up learning that the choices that you come to make are the things which define you. Today, we're going to be using the pilot of Upright as a case study to look at the choices you have your characters make in your writing, and how you can leverage their decisions during the narrative into making more compelling drama, both for them and the audience. Firstly, in order to achieve this, your character should make choices which give them agency. Too often in poorly constructed writing, the characters are passive. Passive characters are those which are not being active participants in the narrative, or characters who are having things happen to them or happen around them. In stories where the protagonists aren't active, it can often feel like the characters are simply responding to the forces of antagonism, or are being told what to do by other characters. This leads to reactive rather than active characters who don't have much agency about them, and are therefore not as compelling to watch on our screens. Giving your character the ability to make choices ensures that they are active in the construction of the narrative, and are an integral part of the events which are unfolding. For example, in Upright, Meg needs Lucky in order to assist in filling the forms in at the hospital and coerces him into pretending to be her dad. She does this by threatening to tell the nurses that he is a pedo if he doesn't help her.
Come on, Dad.
Meg!
No, Lucky,
you're not doing
this. The unit accident, that was your fault, and you left the scene with a minor.
I didn't do anything wrong. I drove you here, and now I'm going. I'm actually in a serious hurry.
I'll tell him you're a perv.
What?
Yeah, I'll tell him you're an old perv.
What?
Sorry?
We're just shocked by the
Acne statistics. That's
It's terrible. It's a surprising figure.
yeah.
Okay, you can wait here.
Meg.
You're my dad, or you're a fucking pedo. Got it?
Love you, Dad.
He now has a choice which he has to make: pretend to be this girl's father, or possibly end up in a whole heap of trouble. Choosing the former, he has now made himself an active agent in his own fate, rather than having to passively accept it. Next, force your characters to make choices which reveal character. Why your characters come to make the choices that they do is an active way of revealing who they are and what their conflicted nature is. As Robert McKee outlines in his book Story, how a character chooses in a true dilemma is a powerful expression of his humanity, and of the world in which he lives. In order to have it so that your characters are constantly being challenged, the choices that they have to make must become increasingly harder and harder for them to make, with the most difficult ones saved for the end of the scene, sequence, or arc that they are completing. In Upright, despite being in a car crash in the beginning of the piece, the first thing that Lucky checks is the piano that he is towing in his trailer. This shows to us in the audience that this is something that he holds particularly dear to him, and is not just a simple piece of furniture. However, the greatest sequence in the pilot, where the choices slowly become harder and harder for Lucky to make and reveal to us his true character, is where he is ringing around his friends to see if he can borrow some money. As he is becoming increasingly desperate with those he can reach out to running thin, he finally lands on the name of his brother. We are shown that having to make this call is a particularly painful moment for Lucky, and one that hints at the fractured relationship that he has with his sibling, and further reveals the core of Lucky's conflicted nature. Thirdly, have it so that choices you throw at your character make great obstacles. Not all of the antagonism that your character experiences has to come from an external force, which actively wants them to fail in their outward journey. It can simply be something which puts a bump in the road on the most direct way to solve their current problem. In forcing your character to divert from their initial plans, you are firstly frustrating them, which reveals more about their character, as when they are frustrated, they act irrationally, but also creates drama, as they are losing the race against any external ticking clock which you have them up against. In Upright, Meg chooses to tell Lucky that she is heading to a town close to Perth so that she can come with him.
I'm going to Perth too.
What? No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna go stay with my mum for a bit.
Your mum lives in Perth.
Yeah, she works in the mines in Kalgoorlie.
Kalgoorlie's not Perth.
Pretty close.
It's 600.
Anyway, I haven't seen her in ages and she wants to, like, reconnect or whatever.
You can't drive to Kalgoorlie.
Why not?
Because it's 3,000 kilometres across a massive, weird desert, and you've got a broken frickin' thingy.
Well, isn't that lucky?
How?
That the knob jockey that broke it is also going to Perth and can take me, so
Oh,
yay.
no. Oh, no. You're a nightmare.
This creates an obstacle for Lucky, as he now has to consider if he will take Meg on this potentially long and arduous journey with him. However, in offering him this choice whether to agree to go with her or not, she has also put the largest obstacle in front of Lucky, which will become a story engine for the series. Will Lucky be able to be a father figure of sorts to the young girl now under his care? However, this choice also has an extra layer of subtext to it. As an addition, it also reveals to us Meg's character as someone who is desperate for company and guidance at this stage in her life. It is not simply that the narrative requires for the pair of them to be stuck together in this chance encounter in order to get them to the next structural beat. Finally, the most dramatic, choices are dilemmas. Again, as Robert McKee says in Story, true choice is dilemma. It occurs in two situations. First, a choice between irreconcilable goods. From the character's view, two things are desirable. He wants both, but circumstances are forcing him to choose only one. Second, a choice between the lesser of two evils. From the character's view, two things are undesirable. He wants neither, but circumstances are forcing him to choose one. At the end of the pilot of Upright, Lucky faces the very real prospect that he is not going to be able to get to Perth, having wrecked his car and lost all his money. Being unable to fulfill his goal of getting the piano to its home is not something that he believes he can live with. But the only way he can think of achieving it is stealing the ute from Meg. He is offered a dilemma of choosing between the lesser of two evils. Don't make it to Perth, or steal from the child who he crashed into with his car. In the end, he decides that he will not only take Meg's keys while she is passed out in the waiting room, but also help himself to some of her money. However, unable to live with the decision that he has made, he returns with some invented excuse about going out to get breakfast. What is interesting is that Meg evidently understands what Lucky's true intentions were, but she chooses to believe him. Another choice that she makes which shows us something about her character, and the kind and good-natured person that she is. So, what can we learn from the choices that we see characters make in Upright? Make sure that your characters are active participants in the narrative, and are always making decisions that drive the story forward, rather than witnessing it happen to them. Ensure that you are forcing your characters to make choices which reveal who they are, and are not simply ways of getting them onwards to the next story beat. Gradually make the choices that your characters have more difficult and complex, so that they are constantly being challenged to develop and grow through their responses to them.